I used to drive nights. Less traffic and fewer drunks than you'd think. Mostly people heading to or from the airport. Some loners who didn't like the bus. It was easy money. But that night, it was different. It had been raining for hours. One of those relentless autumn storms that made the city feel older, like something ancient was shaking off its dust. The streets shimmered in the neon glow of liquor stores and flickering traffic lights. My shift was almost over when the app pinged. Lillian. She was waiting at the curb just outside the reach of a streetlight. I didn't see an umbrella. No coat, no phone in her hand, just standing there, head slightly bowed, rain rolling off her. Her long, dark hair clung to her face, and her dress, light-colored, soaked through, was all wrong for the season. I pulled up, leaned over. "You call a ride?" She moved like she hadn't heard me at first. Then, slow as a dream, she slipped into the back seat. "Hollow Gate Cemetery," she said. Her voice was soft, but it settled into my bones like a splinter. I hesitated. I didn't like going out that way. No houses, no lights, just rows of old stones and trees that clawed at the sky. "You meeting someone?" I asked. She didn't answer. The rain drummed harder against the roof. I glanced at her in the mirror. She was staring out. The window, fingers folded neatly in her lap. The streetlights swept over her in intervals, casting deep shadows across her face. I drove. The cemetery sat on the edge of town, just beyond an old iron gate that had rusted in place years ago. As I pulled up, I expected her to hesitate, maybe fumble for her phone, say something. But she just reached for the handle. "You sure you want to be out here alone?" I asked. No response. She stepped out into the rain. I watched as she moved toward the gate. There was something off about the way she walked, like she wasn't touching the ground. The hairs on my arms stood up. Then she stopped and turned. That's when I saw her face. Not the pale, rain-slicked girl who got into my cab. Something else. Her mouth stretched too wide, her eyes wrong, black, deep, like looking into an open grave. And she smiled. Not at me, through me. Then, she was gone, vanished into the dark. I whipped around in my seat, heart hammering. And then I saw it. The back seat. It was still wet, like someone was still sitting there. A shape, just a shadow in the mirror, a breath, right behind me. I didn't turn around. I threw the car in drive and peeled out, tires screeching, rainwater spraying up in my wake. I never checked my mirror again. I quit night driving after that, and I never pick up passengers near Hollow Gate.